These creamy Mexican chicken bowls are easily a favorite of mine, containing 438 calories per dish and over 40 grams of protein coming from delicious chicken, while also serving as a healthy carb source from the rice and corn. This dish can be done in under 45 minutes and yields 5 servings for an easy lunch throughout the week. So let's jump in on how to make it. We're going to start off by chopping up our vegetables, beginning with 220 grams of yellow onion. And this would also be a good time to get some practice in for our cutting skills. You don't have to worry about going fast. Going slow and then incrementally faster is not only the safest way to build your skill, but also the best, such that you don't develop bad technique. We'll then follow that up by dicing up 115 grams of red bell pepper. And if you don't have red bell pepper, you can certainly use yellow or orange, and green would be fine too. It'll just have a slightly more bitter taste than red. Now once that's done, we'll microwave our corn for 2 minutes to soften them up. This will help the shucking process and make sure all those little strings come off. Now you can see that I have a smaller bowl inside my big one here. I'm doing this so that I can catch all of the kernels as they fall off. Otherwise they'll scatter everywhere and it becomes an absolute nightmare to clean them all up. And you'll lose a lot of corn too, which we obviously don't want. And finally, we'll chop up 3 cloves of garlic and place that in a small bowl as well. Now once that's all done, we can set our vegetables off to the side and get on with our chicken. For today's recipe, we'll use 670 grams of chicken breast. And per the standard procedure, we'll dice that into bite-sized pieces. Alternatively, you could cook the chicken breast whole and then dice them up afterwards. I just think it's easier to dice them up in advance. Once we're done with that, we'll transfer the diced chicken into a mixing bowl and add the following spices before mixing. 1 tablespoon of chili powder, 1 tablespoon of onion powder, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon of cumin, 1 tablespoon of smoked paprika, and 1 tablespoon of oregano. And like I always mention, you can scale these spices up and down depending on your preferences. And also I hit the chicken with a spray of oil to help bind everything together. Now we'll add the seasoned chicken to our oiled skillet set over medium-high heat. And we want the heat up a little higher obviously to help develop a nice crust, and also because the chicken, now that it's diced up, won't take long to cook. And I'm going to hit that with salt and pepper here because I forgot to add it in the mix earlier. I'm also going to cook this in 2 batches to avoid overcrowding the pan. If you overcrowd the pan, not all of your chicken will come in contact with the pan such that it wouldn't be able to develop a crust, but also it'll reduce the temperature of the pan, which will obviously affect the ability to develop a nice crust as well. Once we're done with all of the chicken, we'll place that in a bowl and set that off to the side, and now we can get on with our vegetables. We'll start by adding in our onions and pepper and letting that sear. We'll hit that with a pinch of salt as well. Once those are slightly softened, we'll go in with our corn and try to get some color on that as well. And to help, you can momentarily turn up your skillet to medium-high or even closer to high to help with this. And we'll also hit that corn with some salt. Once that's done, we can turn the heat down a little bit and add in our minced garlic in the center there. Once that's nicely toasted, we can go ahead and mix it all together. Now we can turn the heat down to low and add in 60 grams of Greek yogurt, which we'll follow up with 40 grams of pepper jack cheese, or a Mexican cheese blend if that's what you prefer. And finally, we'll add our chicken back in and mix that all together as well. And generally, instead of yogurt and cheese, we would instead use whipped cream cheese for the creaminess, but we couldn't find any at our grocery store, so we went with yogurt for creaminess and cheese for a little bit of fat instead. Once that's mixed well, we can set it off to the side and get on with our sauce. For that, we'll start with 150 grams of Greek yogurt. Then we'll add in 1 can or 113 grams of diced green chilies. We'll follow that up with 16 grams of chopped jalapeno, for which we remove the seeds, and also a handful of fresh cilantro. Then we'll add in 1 ranch seasoning packet, and you're welcome to add your own ranch style seasoning here, but this packet makes life way easier. And finally, we'll hit that with the juice of half a lime. Now we'll blend that up until it's smooth. And just FYI, this sauce is really good and tastes good on just about any kind of Mexican food you can think of, so we always like to make a little bit extra to store throughout the week. And what you can also do is use a higher proportion of Greek yogurt to make the sauce a little thicker and turn it into more of a dipping sauce for chips if you want. But anyways, once that's done, we'll put that in a separate bowl for later. Now we can get on with mixing everything together in a big bowl, as I didn't have enough room in my pan and learned my lesson from last time. We'll start with 240 grams of cooked white long grain rice. And to that, we'll add in a handful of chopped cilantro, which is about 1/3 of a cup or so. To which we'll follow that up with a squeeze of half a lime. We'll mix that in until it's well combined. And if you wanted more or less of cilantro or lime, feel free to adjust to your preferences. These aren't calorie intensive ingredients, it won't have a big impact on the macro profile. Next, we'll add back in our vegetables and chicken and mix that in as well. Once that's complete, we can assemble our lunches, for which I'm doing 5 this week, but like I always mention, if you want more calories per dish, maybe you're bulking for instance, you can scale this down to 4, or perhaps for some reason you're looking for fewer calories per dish, you can scale it up to 6. As I'm doing here, I like to top off each meal with roughly 25 grams of our sauce, for which we included in the macro profile, and then some cotija cheese as well. Cotija can have a strong, sharp flavor, but if you haven't tried it, I'd highly recommend it. It pairs really well with this sauce here. And if you wanted, you can top this off with diced tomatoes. Here's the macro and ingredient overview for the dish, and as I always note, this is available on our website, which is located in the description below. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and thanks for watching. We look forward to sharing another recipe soon.